of the world, now I'm living. And the good just gets better, keeps on giving. Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter, yeah.
Hey there, everybody. Good morning. It's Ann Perry, Numerologist, and my guest today is again Holly Poole, Professional Astrologer. Hey, Holly.
Hi there.
I'm so glad you're able to join us again today.
So much fun.
I know,
loved
right?
doing the last video, so this one is going to be just as good.
That's awesome. So today's topic of discussion is how does the element of air affect the master number 11s? Now, I want to be clear here that this video, although we are discussing the master number 11s and how they respond to the fact that they're air, these particular ones are air signs, including the Geminis, the Libras, and the Aquarians. This video is going to be appropriate for anybody who is interested in air signs. So don't stop here, okay? Keep going. Holly and I thought we would do something a little different today too. We're going to break this video down into 3 pieces. We're going to start by discussing the Geminis, followed by the Libra, and then followed by the Aquarians. And after each one, after each discussion, we are going to pull angel cards. Holly, do you want to show the ones that you're going to be? There you go. Messages from your angels. So the messages will be as it pertains on behalf of each sign, okay?
Right.
I'll be also offering readings on the Soul's Journey cards from James von Prague as well. So it might be a little bit interesting to find out what the heck you guys are meant to know right now in the moment, right? Because we like to keep things real in the moment. So I'm going to let you kick this off, Holly. Let's begin talking about the Geminis and how is it that the Gemini sign can help or hinder somebody with a master number 11 or anybody for that matter.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Ann. And it's always fun to share, for me, the astrology knowledge and now to be able to integrate it into the 11s. So people who are born between the 22nd of May to the 21st of June are called Geminis. Now, Geminis are the twins, which is what's good today is not good tomorrow. And we love our Gemini friends, but they need to keep things rolling. Like if you have a Gemini, even whether they're 11 or not, but if you have a Gemini within the family, they bore really easily. Mm-hmm. So they want to keep that topic just rolling and different. And it was funny, just before we started this, Ann and I were talking about this because this is how a Gemini communicates. So they might be talking about the day, and then they're talking about the car, and then they're talking about the movie. Oh, but then they're back to the day, and then we're at the movie. So it's hard sometimes to keep up with the Gemini. It's got to constantly keep moving. And I would think a Gemini connected to the 11 because of being the double, yeah, and Gemini being the twin. Sometimes it's difficult because Gemini is also considered a mutable astrology sign. Mutable signs are people who have the changeability. They can be a bit of a chameleon type energy. And that is so true of a Gemini. So how can that 11 work with that?
Well, it made me wonder about, I'm thinking the double ones, right? And the double need for creativity, mm-hmm, the double need for originality, the double need for envision and that sort of thing. So I'm wondering, how does that connect? We'll throw it right back at you. How is that? Yeah, this ball is yours. Did I remind everybody that astrology is not my thing? Okay.
Well, I guess the other thing, we have to come back for a second. We're talking about air signs. Yes. So what are air signs? Air signs are the mentality.
Right.
They think logically. They do not think generally with their tummy or anything like that. They think in their head, so their logic. Things have to make sense to them. They're the common sense type people. So they don't go with the, and I'll just say airy-fairy kind of things. Mm-hmm. To them, they are very sequential thinkers. They are logistical thinkers. So the air Gemini are great with regards to their writing. Their writing skills are amazing with the Gemini. They're also the communication sign. I have yet to meet a Gemini that didn't like to yak and have a conversation. And as long as you can keep that conversation moving, you've got the attention of the Gemini. But as soon as it starts to get a bit boring and draggy, zoom, they're gone.
So they are the deep thinkers, right? They are
Yeah.
the intellectual ones. They are the quick thinkers too, aren't they? They can come
They
up with
are.
things very quickly.
And they can, again, I say, they can see sequences, you know, how this comes in, how that comes in, how this comes in, this comes in. Like, they are an amazing, Geminis are amazing event planners.
I was just going to say organizers. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
So where this can help the 11, having this as an air sign for an 11, I can see that the 11s are hypersensitive, right? And they are very up in their heads, but they also feel very much from their hearts. But if I understand correctly, the Geminis don't really feel it from the heart so much. They're more in their head.
They are more in their head, yeah.
Right. So.
And again, Geminis also have to give themselves permission to realize what's good today is not good tomorrow. So they have to give that permission. And, you know, that's not a societal mindset, right? Society's sort of mindset is, if you get into this track, that's where you need to be, that's where you need to stay, and not veer off that. That's horrible. That's horrible for Gemini.
And so is it true that the Geminis are better as an air sign? Are they better one-on-one with people rather than, say, the Libras or the Aquarians?
Not necessarily. I wouldn't necessarily say that, because they do make amazing teachers.
Okay.
And I would think with an 11, they would channel down through their head, you know, not through their heart kind of thing.
Yes.
So if they were standing in front of a group, like, their PowerPoints would be amazing. Their ability to work with social media, Geminis, are amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. But they're hard to read.
Oh, yeah.
Place.
And never underestimate a Gemini. Let me tell you, they always have something else going on there that nobody knows around them. So never underestimate. I have a step granddaughter who's a Gemini, and I'd said to her mom, don't underestimate her. She's always got a bit of a plan.
Yeah. There's an agenda there.
Yeah.
So the being the Gemini, they can be and same with the Libras and the Aquarians, they hate to be controlled.
Oh, yes.
Right? So they don't want to conform. Would that be a fair statement to say?
Out of all of the air signs, Gemini will conform a little more than the rest of them, because, again, they're a mutable air sign.
Right.
And mutable is that chameleon. They can do the changes. They can so on.
Right.
So yeah, I would think Geminis would conform a bit more. As we go along, you will see, and Libra will conform, but forget about conforming in Aquarian. That ain't going to happen, as we know.
Right. Yeah.
Dear old Aquarian herself.
11 years I have that t-shirt. For those of you who don't know, Holly and I were business partners for 11 years, so we know it pretty well. So this whole issue with regards to confrontation with conformity. That is one thing I've noticed with the 11s, is they have this huge need to conform. You know, they come in with this new vibration, this very high vibration, and quite often the parents don't quite recognize that vibration, and they're like, you know, what do I do with this? And it gets scary for them, because I mean, parents of kids, they just want to do the best they can. So the safest thing for the parent to do is to ask that child to conform to something they know how to handle, right? And that they know how to work with, so to speak. So, you know, the common thing is, you know, why can't you be more like your sister? Why can't you be more like your brother? Like, why can't you just be normal, you know?
Because there's no two people alike. That's why you can't be like your sister or brother or...
Exactly. That's it. And then, you know, so the response should be, you know, why can't I just be who I am, you know?
That's right.
Right?
Exactly. Yes.
So the strongest of the three signs then likely would be the Aquarian, who would be the one that would refuse to conform more so than the other two.
But that's because the Aquarian is fixed.
Yes.
It's hard to move a fixed sign off of what it is they're doing anyway. So, you know, as I said, the mutable sign of Gemini will mutate enough to at least let you think that they've conformed, whether they have or not. They may be doing the other stuff over here behind the shield, but, you know, I'll conform to what you want me to be for now.
And so they're flexible. They're a bit more flexible, a little bit more adaptable.
They need to allow themselves to be.
Okay. And so they're maybe, would it be fair to say that the Geminis are somewhat the peacekeepers?
No, that's the Libra.
That's the Libra. Okay. So
the Gemini, because the Gemini will talk their way around it, right?
right.
They will talk and talk and talk and talk and talk their whole way around everything. But the
Right.
biggest thing with a Gemini is to allow themselves to try this for a bit. So let's go into the new agey world. They might want to try connecting, working with a pendulum.
Right.
And then maybe they get bored of that. And
Right.
then they try, maybe they want to work with Reiki for a bit.
Mhm.
And then they get bored of that. And then they want to try channeling and they'll get bored with that. And so they need to give themselves permission
Mhm.
to be changeable and do whatever rings their bell right at this point in time.
To be their authentic selves.
Yes.
Their authentic selves. So is there a level of more so with Gemini, Libra, Aquarian, whatever, all 3 air signs, is there a level of perfectionism that reigns true here? You know, like the 11s, as I know them, have a real need for perfectionism. They never feel good enough. So where does that fit in the air sign?
That probably fits probably more with the Libra and the Gemini, because Aquarians don't care if they fit.
Right.
They didn't come to fit. They came to be different. They are run by the planet Uranus, which is the planet of unexpected events. So Aquarians need to give themselves permission to be different and not fit the norm. So, you know, coming back, I guess, to answer your question, it would be more about the Libra and the Gemini.
I know, I'm not sure if I mentioned this in our last video, but I saw a movie, I think it was called Wonder, at Christmas time. And, you know, the movie was okay. It wasn't the greatest of dramas I've ever seen, but the message was just completely blew my mind. It was about a young boy who had been born very disfigured. And he had decided to go to, or his parents decided to send him now to public school. I think it was about grade 7.
Okay.
He'd been homeschooled to that point. Anyway, he gets in there, and of course, people are making fun of him, and it's a real challenge and whatnot. And he's crying his eyes out at home. And his sister comes in, and she looked at him because she's going to the same school as him. And she looked at him and she said, "You know, why is it you're trying so hard to fit in when all you were ever meant to do is stand out?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, to me, that's the life of the 11, right? Like, don't try to fit in. And obviously it pertains to the air signs as well.
Yes, it actually pertains to all of the signs.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And I think that that is a big message for the evolution of coming to Earth anyway. In order to evolve,
Yeah.
we have to be who we truly are and stop being who everybody else, who we assume everybody else wants us to be.
Life is so much better when you can just rip off the mask that you think you have to wear, right? I recently had an experience where I felt the need to say no to somebody, but I was trying to sugarcoat it a little bit, as I do, because I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I recognized that, but as soon as I stopped typing and went, no, that is not what I'm feeling inside. I have to tell this person exactly what I'm feeling. I took off the mask, and guess what? That person showed me exactly who she was.
Yes.
It was just bam, bam. It was amazing. Right? What's
interesting with the Gemini is that they will talk their way through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think lots of times you do get Geminis who get diagnosed as bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
You do get them diagnosed with Asperger's and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the bringing in together of that two personalities. You know, they are the twins.
Yes.
And I think society sees the fact that they were on this track and now they're on this track, and then they go to that track and then they go to this track. They must have ADHD or something, you know?
Yeah. It is interesting because when you think about the 11, the 2 ones are, excuse me, the 2 ones are like the pillars that they have to walk through to become the best 2 that they can be, because every life path number 11 is actually a 2.
Yeah.
Right? With the challenge of the 2 ones or whatever makes up their 11.
And Geminis, out of all of the astrological signs, Geminis and Pisces, which we'll get to the water eventually, have that dual personality side to them.
Right.
That they, if you want to call it struggle with, again, we chose to come forward. So if you
Right.
came forward in this lifetime as an 11 Gemini, it is the best for you, or God or the universe, again, whatever your belief system is,
Mhm.
wouldn't have allowed you to do that.
Right.
So if you are an 11 Gemini,
Mhm.
you have come with that dual personality. And the dual personality can work so well for you because it makes you an amazing writer. The
Oh.
writer that can see both sides.
Right. And the
Right.
and the 11s are the messengers. And I always say it doesn't have to come in the form of, you know, singing a song or writing music, but it can be just writing a blog. It can be creating
right.
a website. It can just create awareness for something.
Yep.
But the level of creativity within the 11s is just crazy.
Mhm.
Right? It's crazy. Okay, so why don't we pull a card for the 11s, or sorry, for the Geminis. This is going to pertain to all Geminis, regardless of what your life path number is. Let's see what,
And so it's interesting because it's Archangel Raphael
aha,
about the physical challenges.
yeah.
And so when a Gemini, so now I'm going to flip for a moment into
Mhm.
medical astrology, because Geminis often suffer with hand pain.
Mm-hmm.
We think in Geminis, anything that is dual, two within the body.
So
So
feet,
often,
hands, arms.
that's right, lungs, you know, eyes sometimes can come under the whole Gemini. So if you are feeling that there is an issue going on with your hands,
Mhm.
Geminis, you need to write. You so need to write.
Mhm.
And there is an amazing book that I actually suggest, which I've got to think of what it is. The Artist Way, written by Julia Cameron.
Mhm.
And it takes you through 12 weeks of writing. It takes you through the 12 weeks. And so when I get an 11 Gemini, I often push them to that book because they can channel write.
Yeah.
That's
yes.
an amazing, amazing, amazing book.
Did she say amazing? So automatic writing is something I often suggest for 11s.
And the Archangel Raphael card says on the bottom,
Mhm.
you are a healer like me.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
And-
is it surprising an Archangel card came up for the Geminis?
And the Geminis and the 11s alike are meant to communicate. They're meant to use their words. You know, I always say the difference between the 11 and the 22 is that the 11s can channel the information and they can get all these ideas, but sometimes they're not grounded enough to actually turn it into something, and there's a source of frustration for them.
Right.
So the 22s can take that divine inspiration and actually manifest something, create something from it. So one of the easiest things that 11s can do for themselves is to write, is to actually put it down on paper, because that in itself is manifesting something, right?
Right.
And
And
they're
they're
lasting legacy. They have a huge need. I'm not sure how that falls in the air signs, but the 11s have a huge need to leave a footprint.
okay. Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily an air sign, but what happens with that as well is that Artist Way will take you through that process.
It is an amazing book.
Yes, and it's for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
What's 12 weeks?
Yeah.
Give yourself
Yeah.
the permission.
Yeah.
Give yourself the permission
Mhm.
to do that. And most libraries carry that book, or Indigo chapters carry the book. It's been around forever.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing book, and it pulls up so much of what's going on the inside of you. You will be amazed. Let me tell you, I guarantee you, you will channel right. And you can send me an email if you don't. You can set that up.
Be
But-
careful what you wish for.
Well, no, because if they truly do the work,
Yeah.
by the time they get to the 4th or 5th week, I 100% guarantee you, you will be channel writing.
And it's the commitment, right? It's
Yes,
making
it
that
is the
commitment.
commitment.
It is the commitment.
And that's a bit difficult for a mutable sign of any kind, but the air sign. But it's about you. If you really, truly, truly want to get into that inside to you, you're going to have to work for it.
Yeah.
and it's there.
Yeah, exactly.
So you
And
can
that's the one thing.
struggle.
We have to remember that regardless of what your life path number is, really, we signed up for it. We chose
Yes.
our date of birth based on what we wanted to learn this lifetime. So a lot of 11s come in with this, I'm not good enough, I'm never going to measure up, I'm never going to be, and it's a big struggle, and I get that. But at the end of the day, you chose it, and you're granted the opportunity to work with it. So that tells us right away that you have the capabilities necessary with which to make something of it, right? So there's none of this, I'm not good enough, right?
And sometimes, sometimes people really, truly do need to reach out for teachers. I mean, it doesn't have to be you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that. But
Yeah.
For someone to help you,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Process that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you need to teach the course about the artist, or the artist's way. There you go. And once again,
We'll sign a Gemini
secret.
up for that. Maybe after a particular Gemini has done some of that, they may choose to work with other 11s in that format.
Exactly. There's a workshop out there for somebody. So let's go on and start talking about the Libras. What can you tell us about the Libras?
Well, so the birth date for the Libra is the 24th of September to the 23rd of October. Libras are all about partnerships. And I know that that's a bit of an 11 thing, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah.
With the 1 and the 1. And Libras, to be honest, is the only astrological sign that I would put together as a partner, like a Libra with a Libra.
Mm-hmm.
Can work okay. So Libras are the cardinal, just like we talked about the Aries when we did the fire. They're the cardinal. So they are the do as I say kind of a leader. They are about the peace and the harmony and the balance and the centeredness in life. Mm-hmm. They do worry as well about what other people are going to think. They worry about, oh my heavens, like if I did this, is that going to upset the apple cart over here somewhere? Right. So Libras can take a long time to make up their mind. Mm-hmm. They can sit on the fence, and they sit on the fence because they're checking out everybody else sort of around them, right?
Does that come from a source of fear of judgment?
Yes, absolutely. Fear of judgment, number one, and fear of what I'm doing to somebody else. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. So if I understand correctly, the Libras can allow themselves to be a little bit more vulnerable, though, than the other ones.
Yeah, because they will take the hurt.
Right.
They have to.
Okay.
Now, one of the discussions I often have with Libras is that they spend so much time worrying about, what everybody else is doing. They've got a pool of people in front of them. And so they're making sure that everybody within this pool, but what they forget to do is put themselves also in that pool. And
so do they also run the risk of being a little bit more codependent than the others?
There's often codependency that happens with the Libras.
Right. Right. So finding their independence, finding their voice might be a little bit more difficult for them than the others.
And they want to, if they're going to go to a course, they're actually going to do more on the fact of wanting someone else to come with them.
Yes.
Right. Because Libras, as a rule, doesn't like to be alone.
Right. And that's classic 11.
Is it? Yeah. And it's not about being married and stuff. It could be just good friends, but they generally don't, if they're going to watch a movie, they don't particularly want to do it alone. If they're going to eat popcorn, they don't generally want to do it alone,
Yeah. But oddly enough, are they not the ones that would take the initiative to start something if it meant helping out a situation or creating a bridge between diverse?
Yeah. And they often will jump on to save the world,
Right.
Let's go save the day.
Yeah. They would be interesting as a 9, because the 9 life path number is a humanitarian, right? So
yeah,
it would be quite interesting to see as a 9. Yeah. Okay. And so now I failed to ask what we could help with regards to the Gemini. Flipping back there just for a second. The Geminis, we were talking about some of the weaknesses that they show and some of the strengths that they show, but how as an 11 can we help them? Like what can we tell our 11s?
With the Gemini or the
Gemini? Yes.
Gemini? So we had said what we could do with the Gemini. We had said for them to allow themselves to explore this and this and this. and this
Right.
and this, right?
And
So allow that
self-expression.
changeability in with them, and don't, you know, society says if you sign up to go to university to be, you know, a business owner,
Yeah.
then that's what you have to do. But the Geminis need to know that they might sign up to be a business owner,
Right.
but 2 years down the road, they might decide they want to go into the art department.
Right.
So when I work with Geminis, I say, you know, try and choose your schooling
Yeah.
with the know that some of those credits you can pull over.
Right. Right. And no education's ever lost.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I just failed to kind of recap that. So with regards to our Libras now, what are we suggesting for the Libras? That
Libras are about building community.
Okay.
And again, we talk about the fact that, you know, Libras want other people to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Libras are cardinals, so they are the leaders. So one of the things I highly recommend is let the 11 Libra set up the workshop. Now they might bring somebody else in to do the teaching and so on, but they make great organizers.
Right.
They make great put together of groups. They need to be part of that group.
They'd be good facilitators too, would they not?
Yes, they do, but oh man, that's hard on their head.
Is it? Yeah.
Because they worry about, am I going to look after this person? Is this person going to be okay? Can we sit this person with this person? And
so it's learning how to drop that bar.
Yep.
Right?
And pass over the control and realize that if Sally sits next to Jane and they have an issue, they are the ones that have to figure that out. The Libra does not have to figure that out for them.
Right. So they've got lessons to learn about what they're responsible for and what they're clearly not.
And boundaries. Boundary lines are huge for Libras because they don't know boundary lines.
Right.
They haven't figured out the boundary lines.
And so even, you know, when we talk about boundary lines, it's learning how to express what's important to you and to say, you know, no, I'm not going to allow you to cross that line. I'm not going to compromise in any way. This is who I am. Deal with it.
Right. But again, we talked about the fact that they want to fix. They are the fixers in the zodiac, right?
Right.
They want to fix relationships. That they're big on fixing relationships.
Yeah.
Because in the astrology chart, the sign of Libra hangs out in the 7th house, which is all about partnerships and relationships. And that's what the Libras are all about.
Right.
How can we make Sally and Johnny play nice together? This is why I say about the boundary lines, you know, maybe it's not up to them. And one of the things we have to realize is that sometimes Sally and Johnny don't play nice together, not because it's anything logically that have happened in this lifetime.
Right.
This is memories that have come forward. And so as long as you step in to fix this, it's not yours to fix.
Right.
Step away. It's not yours to fix.
Yeah, it's interesting. They so far, anyways, between the two signs, the Libra sounds closest to the common traits, if I dare say, common traits of the 11s. It's that struggle between the masculine energy of the double ones,
right,
needing to be assertive and needing to be out there, and you know, being seen, being heard, and being the leader, and balancing that with the feminine side, which is the 2, which says I'm supposed to be taking people and creating nice little relationships and bridging the gaps between people and harmonizing situations, and so it's trying to figure out the balance between the 2
right
energies.
Often with a Libra, I say, stop trying to figure out what's going on with someone else. Bring the focus back to your own life. What are you doing in your life to make life better for you?
Right. And sometimes that's difficult for them to focus on themselves, you know, rather than focus on other people.
But sometimes don't you find that when people spend a lot of time focusing on other people, it can also be an escape for them?
Absolutely. No question. No question.
So we also have to look at the fact of why do we do what we do?
Yeah.
Why do we spend the time worrying about fixing relationships over here?
Yeah. I think sometimes there's I think of, it's a self-esteem issue. You know, it's like they jump in with this need to help because there's an emptiness somewhere within them that needs to be filled. And the quickest way they can fill it without looking at themselves is to look outside and try and help someone else. right?
And often with a Libra, with all that balance and harmony and stuff,
Yeah.
often if people around them are out of balance,
Yeah.
they feel out of balance.
Right, right. So they're sensitive to that.
So therefore, that is that inner side to them. Then, oh, well, I got to fix this over here so that then I'm fixed. You know, I'm looked after. I'm taken care of.
All right, I'm going to pull a card for the Libras. See what their message is for today. You guys rock. I'm just saying that. Just putting that
Just
out
saying.
there. Whoops. Balance. Isn't that hysterical? So the message, the message here is, I bring a state of perfect harmony into my world, and I do so without judgment. Pretty cool. These are amazing cards, by the way.
Well, you know, I think one of the things I do recommend to all clients is pick up a deck of cards. And I think we touched base on that when we talked about the fire. And let me suggest too, if you haven't heard the video on the fire, you may not be the fire, but you will learn. You probably have lots of family members that have fire signs, the Aries, the Leo, and the Sagittarians. You may be really surprised at what you learn from them, right?
Right. So this is a movie that's available on YouTube?
That's your movie we talked about with you and I doing the last.
Oh, we were talking about our video. Oh,
yes, our video.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I missed that. I thought you were giving a title called On the Fire.
No. That's you and I, you know, the one that we did, because I think it gives us a real big indication on who people are.
Right. Right. Okay. Let's move along and let's talk about the Aquarians. And who better to talk about an Aquarian than an Aquarian?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Come on.
So Aquarians are from the 21st of January to the 19th of February. They are a fixed sign. And so Aquarians are very fixed in mindset. They are ruled by the planet Uranus. So they have come to be different. They did not come to act like anyone else. They came to come out with ideas way different than anybody else. And the glyph, people get really caught up with the astrology of Aquarians because it looks like waves of water. So lots of people think Aquarius is a water sign. It is not. Mm-hmm. It is an air sign. That is waves of electricity. Mm-hmm. And so Aquarians probably get more shocks, you know, from light fixtures and stuff than any other sign. Because they are extremely electrically charged.
So would you say, and I was just an observation because I live with an Aquarian, as you know, would you say that Aquarians like to be trendsetters? Is that a common trait?
You know, what's interesting is that, and I hate to say this, but quite often Aquarians don't care. Mm-hmm. You know, in the fact of, am I starting a trend so that everybody else will follow behind me? I don't think that's why they do that. I think that they might be trend setters. Yeah. Because again, like the Geminis, it's new. It's beginning. Yeah. You know, Aquarians are really big into the next electrical fandangle thing that's going on. They want the newest thermostats. They want the newest gadgets. They want the newest phones. They want the newest because it's new and it's different. And so again, I'm going to come back to often one of the things that Aquarians struggle with, and I'm sure the 11 would struggle with this, is that they struggle with the fact that, again, they're 5 years ahead of their time. So they think way ahead. Mm-hmm. And I remember way back years and years ago, actually probably way back to the year 2000, I had sent a proposal into the government to bring spirituality courses into their classes. They so were not there. No. They so were not in that mindset at all. And then 5 years after that, so come into 2005, 2006, they were bringing in spirituality classes. And I'm like, how come they're just catching up with that now? Like, why didn't they see this in the year of 2000? Yeah. So sometimes with a discussion with an Aquarian, you have to think, like, what planet did they just fall from? And that might be in a problem with an 11, is it?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I suppose it could possibly be.
You know, being different.
Yeah, I see where it being an advantage is that it's okay to be different. You know, whereas the 11 tends to run from the differentness, you know. And I try to abolish that word different because I believe it separates us. So our authentic sides, our original sides, our whatever. But yeah, I think the Aquarian 11 would actually be a much stronger 11 with the Aquarian sign than without, right? Because it gives you the boldness, it gives you the I don't give a shit kind of, you know, attitude. It gives you the I'm okay with who I am, like, you know, love me or not. And that's the only way that the 11 can accomplish what they agreed to accomplish in the first place.
Now, 11s, you know, as a younger age growing up, until they sort of step into that Aquarian side to themselves, which usually comes in at the first Saturn return, comes in about 27, 28, 29 years of age, they can be very shy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
As a child, you know, as a younger person coming up.
Yeah, that's a very common trait. And it's funny because recently I've been doing a lot of readings for 11s who are young people. And I'm talking 23, 24, 25, and around there.
Coming into that Saturn return, yeah.
But they've already got it. Like they've so got it. They understand why they're here and what they need to do. And they've made sense of all the challenges that they've had up until this point. And it's really, this is a new trend.
Well, it's also the indigos, right? It's the finishing off here of the indigos coming in through. And then coming into the star children. Like they are, the crystal children. That's the crystal children right now coming in. So they are okay with that energy.
Yeah, it's really amazing. It's quite a shift. And I definitely see it. Definitely see it. Yeah. So that the Aquarians being the fixed signs that they are, they tend to be a little bit more logical, a little bit more practical, maybe a little bit more grounded, would you say?
Grounded? I don't know if the word is grounded because all air signs live in their head.
Right.
Air is mentality and thought.
No, I understand that. And that's a curse for the 11s because they're airheads too, right? all kidding aside, they're very connected up here. But in terms of all of the three signs, would you suggest that maybe the Aquarian is more grounded than the other two because of their need for practicality and logic and reasoning? And
yeah, I don't know. I would have to actually give some thought to that. Practicality is when we get into the earth signs. They are the practical feet on the ground.
Right.
You know, it's difficult often for air signs just because they're thinking logically, not necessarily practically, because fixed signs, just like we talked about the fixed fire, have a tendency as well to want to do it all themselves.
Yeah.
And they're fixed in opinion, so they very seldom ask for help because they have a fixed mindset and they don't want varying outside of that, right? And the Aquarian needs freedom. They do not like to be pinned in a corner. Out of all of those, the Libra will be pinned in the corner if that's where you need them to be. The Gemini might want you to believe they're going to be pinned in the corner, but good luck with that. And you are so not going to pin in an Aquarian. And Aquarians hate rules.
So the independence is going to help. It can help and it can hinder as it relates to the 11. So, I mean, the 11 is here to learn the double one, which is double independence. Double creativity, double originality, that sort of thing. So they're here to learn that, whereas the Aquarian brings that to the table. So that's kind of helping to offset the 11's need to learn it. And gives them the permission to, just because everybody else says there's no such thing as orbs in the picture, and Aquarian sees the orbs, they're going to go, well, I'll let you believe. If you don't believe, then that doesn't matter to you, but I do see those orbs, and I know those orbs are real energy orbs. You know? Right. Yeah, and so then the independence weighs out. It's just an interesting concept because the independence is there, the extreme need for independence, whereas the 11s have this extreme need to be part of something, to be a part of a relationship.
Maybe there's not many 11 Aquarians.
That's what I'm wondering too. I'll have to start watching for it. I definitely see it more so in the Libra than I do in the Aquarians, for sure. But I can see it'd be a very, very interesting combination. I must watch for it.
Yeah, because the 11s, I'm willing to bet. I'll take a shot in the dark here, but I am willing to bet that we're going to find, or you will find, and I hope you report back to all of us, that the water signs is where we're going to find the majority of the 11s.
Yeah, it could be. Actually, the response that we got to the first video that we published, there were a lot of people saying, hey, can't wait because I'm an 11 and I'm a Pisces, or
which is the water, right?
Right, exactly.
Because they come in through intuition. And I don't know if 11s come in more, head-wise, mentality-wise, or whether they're more touchy-feely, which is our water signs.
It's a little bit of both. They have such a high vibration that veil that exists between here and the other side is so thin that they're well connected.
Yep.
And they're like sponges, they're like magnets to take on everybody's stuff. But the messages travel so fast through the crown. They're just such quick channels all the time. So I think they wrestle head to heart. It's hard for them to get sometimes from the head to the heart and to rationalize what they're feeling. That one of the biggest issues with the 11 is that they can't figure out what's my stuff and what's somebody else's stuff.
Right.
Right?
That's such a Pisces trait.
Is it? Yeah.
A huge Pisces trait. Yeah.
Yeah. My ex-husband was a Pisces and also an 11, actually, interestingly enough. And very, very, cry at the top of a hat. Like he's just he's so.
And that's why we come back to the fact of the Aquarian. They really struggle with their emotions.
Right.
And so there's a pro and a con to every side. And sometimes the Aquarians can come across as very cold, even though they are the humanitarian sign.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, when they're done, they are done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's an Aquarian trait, like it or love it.
Well, that's why you and I always taught well together.
Yes.
Because you kick hard ass, right?
I do.
And I picked up the pieces when you were done.
I've often said, if you need someone that needs to give you a hug and hold on and support you and let me work through it, I am not your girl.
No. She is not touchy-feely.
I'm the fact of, okay, so we're, you got a problem here? Yeah, okay, well, we're done with that. So we're moving from here.
Yeah, move on.
But I mean, that's also why we worked well together, was simply for the fact that not everybody, needs you, or not everybody needs me. And different personalities work different with different people, right?
Exactly. So do you want to pull a card?
Sure. I'll take my cards and so, we've got the card of Isaiah, where it says it's a good time to give birth to new ideas and situations with your life. I'm watching over you, guiding you, and protecting you during these changes. And I think what's happening with the whole Aquarian side, they are the new thinkers. They are always got a new plan. And so what I say to Aquarians, again, I'm going to come back, they're 5 years ahead of their time. So if you come up with an idea and other people do not see it or do not understand it or do not agree with it, be okay with that.
So why is it that I must have missed that. Why is it that they are 5 years ahead of their time?
I don't know. It's just part and parcel of that whole.
You're saying that because you're an Aquarian.
Well, it can be a curse as well, because as I said, you say things or you come up with ideas or so on, and people look at you like you have 9 heads. Like, what? It's kind of like the other day on Facebook. Everybody was talking about this Fitbit. Ages ago, I kept saying, please do not wear Fitbits because of the electromagnetic. And now I see they've come up with it. And I'm like, I've been saying this for like 2 years. Nobody heard me.
the same reason I refuse to have my cell phone in my bedroom.
Right, me too.
Won't do it. Turn it off, get it out of the way, because I don't need it programming stuff into my brain. There's enough
I guess, that's also a real big, for sure, 11 thing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I have that in my tips and tricks for 11s, helping them to help themselves, is not to have their cell phones on them 24/7. Last thing, actually, it's interesting. I just bought a new phone, and it has a control on it that actually automatically turns the brightness of the phone down after 9 o'clock at night. And it has something to do, I forget what it's called now, but it's got something to do with not triggering more hormones that keep you awake, right? So basically it's asking the melatonin to be produced, I guess. Anyway.
That's also why I do not have an electric clock by the head of my bed.
Yeah.
Also remember, I'm Aquarian, so I'm very, very, very super sensitive to the electromagnetic waves that comes off a cell phone, that comes off an electric clock, that comes off a computer. And so, I don't conform to rules. People have their cell phone on them 24/7. My cell phone is turned off at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Off.
Yeah.
The whole world is not going to come to the end because they can't reach Holly Poole.
Yeah, you know what? I'm getting there. I'm actually getting there. I agree with you. I think that and we have to take responsibility for that, because we're being conditioned to believe that we have to be available 24/7.
And on social media as well.
Because I come from an era when at 10 o'clock at night, the rotary dial telephone was off. Like, you don't talk on the phone past 10 o'clock. And if you have an issue with your friend, it's going to have to wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're right. The world does not stop when when you unplug your phone or turn it off or whatever. So.
And I think, air planets really struggle with that because of that need to communicate. They are the talkers in the zodiac. They are the connection with that. But I also think it brings in an addiction to urgency. And the addiction to urgency is about always having to do something. And I think it becomes an addiction. It becomes an addiction to always be checking the phone, always be checking Facebook, always be checking this and always be checking that. That is an addiction, people. It's no different than an addiction to drugs, to alcohol, to whatever. It's an addiction. And
you see, there's a commercial I happened to notice on TV the other night, where mom walks into the room and she does something on her phone. All she can see is the tops of the heads of her entire family, 3 kids and dad sitting on the couch and they're doing this, right? So she comes in the room and she hits something on her phone and everybody looks up kind of pissed off, and she's got some kind of control in her phone that shuts off everybody's phones and says, hey, excuse me, look at me, right? I need your attention now. Everybody needs to stop. So, and there's all kinds of, talk of that right now, like turn your cell phones off at supper, don't bring them to the table. I mean, anyway, we could go on and on about that. But on the last note of that, I want to ask your opinion about 2018, because I'll tell you what, the electricity has been an issue in my life, certainly, and yours too, when we live on the east coast of Canada, where the winds have been insane since about December. Winds have been absolutely crazy, creating a lot of disturbances, electrical disturbances. My internet's been down. I've been losing my mind with that because I can't conduct business without it. And not just that, but I find energetically, I am certainly affected by that, even though I'm not an air sign. Well, I think there is so much going on astrologically in the heavens. One of the big things that has been happening over the last 2 to 3 weeks, for instance, is in the heavens, we have Saturn and we've had Mars coming up towards there. So Mars is exact right now. Mars is that planet of aggression. It is sort of that god of war. And when Mars is involved, Mars automatically creates wind and pushing of the wind and all of that kind of stuff. Mars gets blamed for everything.
And the other thing that's gone on, of course, is we have had Jupiter, our planet of expansion, stall. And that's not going to turn till July. That, to me, really does upset a whole lot of weather patterns.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's going to be a great gardening season again with the dirt blowing in my face as I'm trying to plant stuff.
and there's been massive solar flare energy, which has nothing to do with astrology. It has to do with astronomy. but the solar flare energies have really created a lot of head tension and a lot of headaches.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had them for 3 days, just unexplainable.
Me too.
headache. Yeah. Actually started Friday of last week and it's just starting to lift today.
Mm-hmm. There's been just tons of solar flares coming off of our sun.
Yeah. And the sensitivity of the animals around us too, I'm noticing as well. So anyway, that's a whole different discussion. So we promised to keep it a little bit shorter today, and we really appreciate everybody tuning in. Our next discussion is going to be
Earth.
Yeah, we're going to be doing Earth. So that'll be next Wednesday. That will be published. So that'll be the 18th of April. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody back again. Really appreciate you coming back, Holly. Your information is always invaluable.
Always fun.
I always learn so much. So I thank you for that. And I'm sure our subscribers and our viewers are eating it all up as well. How can people get in touch with you?
I write in a Holly Poole Astrology Facebook page every day. I write in what's going on up in the heavens and how it is affecting us. And on Mondays, I write about, I call it my musing Mondays. And right now I'm talking about the many masks that we wear on our page. The other thing is my website. So it's www.hollypoole, and that's with an E, so HOLLYPOOLE.com.
And you offer personal readings, one-on-one readings?
I do offer personal astrology one-on-one readings.
And they're done over the internet, over Zoom Live?
Yeah, and I offer tarot readings. And also I have a life coaching program called The Seasons of Your Life. And our personal birthday is our spring. So my birthday's in January. That's my personal spring. Anne's birthday's in March. That's her personal spring. So that's our spring. But at each one of those seasons, we need to be looking at what to be doing differently in our life.
Mm-hmm. Right. Awesome. So you might want to fill me in on that.
Just saying.
I am Ann Perry Numerologist, and you can reach me at www.annperrynumerologist.com. I too have a very active Facebook page, so you're welcome to check me out there. Would really appreciate you liking the video. Share it with your friends. This has been a fantastic discussion on the air signs that applies to everybody. You know the 11s are dear to my heart. It is what I specialize in, so I tend to kind of hog the show a little bit for them every now and again. But at the end of the day, it's great information that pertains to all of us. So share this with any of the air signs that you know. Thanks so much again. Hoping you're having a great day. We really look forward to seeing you again this time next week. Thanks, Holly.
Thanks. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye for now.